Okay, in this video, we will be analyzing this natal chart that you are looking at, the birth natal chart. Before we do, we'll explain the difference between a soulmate, a twin soul, a twin flame. Basically, everything came from source, and we perceive source to be spirit. But in order for source, which is spirit, to enter a material world, the source or spirit has to create a soul. Now, anyone or anything connected to that soul is a soul group, a soul family. Now, when that soul enters the material world, the spirit now has created the soul, which is like the soul is the spiritual. The soul is a physical manifestation of the spirit. And this is what Jesus Christ was. But now when that soul goes into the material world, it begins to scatter. But on that soul, or that soul tribe, soul family, is a soul that is cut in half, sort of. You can call it masculine, feminine energy. But that's your twin soul, which is also your twin flame. Now, not even the experts know why. I believe it's a biblical reason why. But not even the experts know why. But for some reason, in these last days, perhaps, all these people are coming together that are realizing their twin souls. And the universe is helping those people know what it like. When it first happened, they might not know what a twin flame or a twin soul is. But because what happens and they go looking, because you understand. To me, that's the biggest thing on YouTube is twin flames, twin souls. No matter who drops the video, whatever, they're all running to it. As long as you keep it dumbed down and oh, love is right around the corner, you can get thousands and thousands of views. But if you're like me, if you talk about the realities of it, the pros and cons and everything about it, then they don't want to deal with that. They just want the bubblegum pop. You know, just tell me I'm going to find love and tell me, even if you're lying to me, tell me anyway and I'll pay you. And all of us don't, we have morals. We're not just trying to rip people off. We're actually trying to help them. That's why it's a full chart. Otherwise, your chart would only contain stuff about love. But see, they don't care about the natal chart. They're like that other guy I mentioned in the last video on numerology, number 11, basically. He didn't care nothing about his chart at that time. All he wanted to know about was his soulmate in the 8th house and blah, blah, blah. But he came to regret that. Because it's more than just love. It's not just love, it's your whole life. Your natal chart is talking about your whole life, your past lives, your whole life. So that's your soul mate. Can be anybody in your soul tribe, anybody in your soul group. Again, if you took two people that hated each other and put them on an island by themselves and said you two are going to have to work together or you're both going to die, and we're leaving you here and we're not telling you when we're coming back. And they first they may continue to dislike each other and blah, blah, blah. But the more they realize I need you to survive, the more and more they're going to let down their defenses and all their repression and everything. And before you know it, you might actually have a couple in love with each other, can't live without each other, and blah, blah, blah. So that when the people come back, they might even tell the people, you know what, we don't want to go back to your third dimensional world. Let us stay on this island. We got food, we got our needs, we're having our own children, and we don't want to put up with that garbage in your matrix. But yet they hated each other before you put them on the island. So that anybody could be your soul mate under the right circumstances. Because you're all from the same soul family. You're all from source. You're all from the soul. There is no division. There's only a division in this matrix, third dimensional matrix that we're in. Just like there is no time. Everything is eternity. But in this matrix, you're deceived into believing all of this. But what I've learned is you can choose to accept some of it and don't accept. The bottom line is there's a whole lot of people that are no longer walking around in third dimensional vibrations or third dimensional frequencies. It's a lot of people walking around in fifth dimensional and higher. Like they really believe what love is and unconditional love and stuff like that. And it's not always going to be like what they want you to believe. It's not like, oh, love and light and, oh, you know, it's not all that. Because when Jesus walked around, he was a higher dimension, but he still got angry with people. He beat some people up. You understand? But he still was higher in frequency than they were. Because if he really had his way, he would have tried to give love and mercy to everybody. But you have to remember who put you in the matrix. This is why the Bible gave you the book of Job, because that's what it's about. Because you're put in the matrix that God allows to happen. And then the so-called Satan brings the negative energy and the trials and everything. So it's not just in third dimensional. It's not just the love, 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 love and light. In third dimension, you're supposed to go through whatever your life purpose is, which is why I keep saying a lot of people are not really interested in life purpose. They're just interested in career and love and I want to be an actor and stuff like that. But really, if you're really doing this correctly, you want to know the full package. Why am I here? Where did I come from? What's going on? And that is all on your natal chart. But sometimes people don't really study it and they don't listen. You understand? So almost as fast as I'm teaching it, they're trying to respond, which is I'm saying, okay, you can't respond so fast because if it took me hours to do it, how are you responding so fast? So obviously you're not listening because obviously they just want you to answer. What about love? What about that? And it's probably have been answered, but you're going to have to go through the process. That's why you got 12 houses here. You got retrogrades here. You got to go through the process. And that's the way it's supposed to be done. And that's why people jump into a relationship and then within 2 months to 6 months to a year or two, now they don't even talk to each other anymore. So when you really want to know why you're here in your life purpose, you realize it's time to slow it down. What's going on? Do you understand your first house? Do you understand your second house? Do you understand your third house? If I asked you about money, where would you go on your chart? If I asked you about education, where would you go on your chart? If I asked you about children, where would you go on your chart? Because that's where your clues are going to be of what's happening in your life. And the more you begin to rely on your chart, the less resistive you are in third dimension. Because you might be saying, I really think the guy I work with, I think we're connected. I think we're connected. Let's just say you know his astrological sign. See, when you do your chart, not just a psychic, but when you do your chart, you can see his sign on your chart. What house? All of this is going to give you insight. And the more you have insight, you know what? You may say, you know what? I've been playing hard to get. You know, I'm blaming him, but it's actually me playing hard to get. And maybe if I didn't play hard to get, we would have been together. Because I know that the female I grew up with, the one I thought was really my twin was Tammy. This is long before Rosa. Now Rosa was like unbelievably synchronicity and all kind of crazy stuff with Rosa. But I had a lot of that stuff with Tammy as well. But it was always Tammy, and the universe kept putting Tammy next to me. Long after high school, she still works for me, and I was working way in the back, and I saw her. I said, well, good. I work way in the back. I'll never see her. They moved me. My management moved me and put me right in front of her where she worked at. So the universe really tried to get me and her to connect. But for whatever reason, I didn't let that happen. And that was long before that. That was 1999. I didn't know what a twin flame was until late 2014. So all of this stuff can be hard to understand, but the more you deal with astrology and you begin to trust the universe, it becomes easy because then you stop playing hard to get because you realize the universe is going out of its way. And sometimes you just ain't ready. Because I mean, with my twin, it was just too much energy. It was just too powerful at that time. And like if she would react a certain way, I would immediately get frustrated with her. But on my natal chart, it may have been some past life stuff that wasn't too good with her. Because I'm really upset with her and stuff. Like really frustrated. Like, I don't know, I was like more frustrated. Not necessarily mean, but just real frustrated. Like, why are you making this so difficult? And then basically the advice was, well, if you just softened yourself and just showed her like love, she would respond. And one time she did. That probably was true, but all I'm trying to tell you guys from experience is it doesn't last. And so where I come from, like, you just got to understand my background is just more realer. And my background was more like, if I'm reaching out to you and you're making that difficult, then you're going to continue to make stuff difficult. And I'm sorry I don't have the combination lock. Like, I'm not a player. I don't play with your emotions. I'm not just going to come and act all nice to you just to get you to change your posture with me or whatever. Because if you did it for that reason, it's fake. Like anybody that wants unconditional love but doesn't want to give it, to me, is fake. And I might not want to put in a year or two, because I've done that before and still it ended up in a breakup. So that's why I just saw things and continue to. And what you guys got to realize is in 2014 to 2016, when I would take readings or do readings, they were basically telling me this is all my fault and blah, blah, blah. But then at 2017, all the readings changed and they were saying, don't get involved with her, leave her alone, or blah, blah, blah. Now, either she did something where the universe was now trying to protect me from her, or it was what I told you it was. This wasn't going to last. And I could tell it wasn't going to last by just how she was acting and stuff. I don't know which one it was, but like I said, me, it's like if you've been in love before, then you know what love is, and it is what it is. And I heard one. It's funny because I heard one YouTube reader say that, and her name is the same name as my twin from 2014 to 2016. She said don't try to judge twin flame by what you think love is, and she's like, this is what you have to do. But then she kind of recanted, and she even got rid of those videos. Which, don't get me wrong, because I remember one time when that female thought I was showing her like concerned, and then she was a totally different person. I admit that. But what I'm trying to tell you is, if you're fake and phony, if your emotions are bent on what somebody else does, then you want unconditional love, but you're baking on a condition. And I just didn't need no more breakups. Like, I'm tired of it. So that's how I was at that time, and that's kind of how I feel now. Now, the person I'm with now, it probably would be a little bit different. But for the reasons I'm kind of alluding to, I don't see that going long term. And I'm not a young man, so I'm not trying to do that silly stuff no more. You know, I've done all that. Like, that's my Leo. Sun sign is Leo. My moon sign is Capricorn. But I love my Capricorn. Very mature, business-minded. But unfortunately, I have so many people around me that don't want to grow up. And they want to keep trying to pull me into the same silly stuff that was going on 20 and 30 years ago. And I don't want to have nothing to do with that. And instead of just respecting that, they keep trying to pull me in anyway, which is making it very difficult. So I don't know what to tell you, but if you're that female or that male, and you think that this is my soulmate or whatever, and I think this can work, you kind of know what's going on, because you guys talk to each other even in your dreams. So you guys kind of know what's going on. So if you know somebody's a little serious minded, you got to be honest with yourself. Are you ready for that? Because if you're not ready for that, and you can kind of tell this person's not opening up to me, you kind of already know why. Like, that's why I tell everybody, stop playing games with yourself. Because when this is soulmate and twin flames, you guys are telepathic, and plus you have dreams, so you kind of know what the person kind of wants. Like mine, the one from 2014 and 2016, she just wanted me to shower her with all this affection, no matter what. And I was like, nah, because it just seems like you're basing it on conditions. And I need something more than that. Because anybody can make a female and have sex with her. That's nothing to me. And the way people give sex up on this planet, it's kind of sad. That's why y'all have a high whatever. Y'all have a high everything. high diseases, high kids with don't know who the father is. Y'all got everything on this planet, and I don't want no part of it. And the female I'm talking about, while I was there, she had about 3 kids with this guy she was with. Don't nobody want that. And plus, how are you going to keep coming in here looking at me and playing games with me, and then you're still with this guy dropping all these kids? So you have no character or integrity. Why would I be interested in that? So it was painful, but sometimes that's called maturity. Sometimes you have to just go through the pain. And then later on, they did tell me she's not worth it. Like all the readers. Like back in 2014 and 2016, all the readers were saying it's my fault. And if I just would show some more love and stop that, she'll just melt and she'll be with me and all this crazy stuff. And then in 2017 or whatever, they're like, leave her alone. No, she's not. She blew it with you, and you're a good guy, and she didn't deserve you. And I'm saying, well, how come the readings change? So I don't believe you know what I'm saying? Like, you got to still use your brain. Like, the universe can put you in a situation, but you have to be mature enough to make the final decision. And if you're looking for a psychic to do that for you, or a card reader and all that, then that's your fault. Because all they can do, they say that a good person says guide. All we can do is guide you by what we're seeing. But this is your life, so you have to make the final decision. And the more you know that. Because like I said, I could just sit back here and rip you off like the rest of these people are doing. But I'd rather see you stand up like an adult. Because almost everybody that's out here is like 18 or over. So you are an adult. But you have to want to do it yourself. Like, you have to stand up. And that's the best advice I can give you. And I'm not saying that to hurt people's feelings. I'm saying that because I care. Otherwise, I could just sit back and lie to you like everybody else is doing and just rip you off. I mean, when I first started doing this, my bills was paid like at least a month and a half in advance. But then I started realizing, wow, these people don't really want the truth. They just want somebody to just go hear all their love stories and hear all this stuff. And I'm like, nah. You know what I'm saying? I got other stuff to do with my time. Like I'm just a different person. Like, money's not everything to me. I could care less. I'd rather see people be built up. But in order to do that, you have to grow up. You have to have a little maturity. That's why your natal chart is all about the 10th house and Saturn and Capricorn. That's all about karma. And that's all about maturity, careers and stuff. Because you're going to be judged by whatever you did in the past life, whatever you're going to do in this life. You're going to be judged by that. And that's what they mean by karma and stuff like that. Some people try to minimize karma. They say, oh, karma's not that bad. You just got to do it over. No, karma is a reason. Karma is like, okay, you didn't do this, so now this is going to happen. Or because you need to learn this lesson, so this is what's going to go. This is how we're going to make you learn this lesson. So karma is a little bit more forceful than just saying, oh, it's just a do-over. No, it's definitely a little bit of discipline. And that's why if you read the book of Job, it's all about Satan attacking Job. Now, Job is like saying job or career. That's the 10th house. And then Satan is like Saturn. Saturn rules Capricorn, which is the 10th house. See, if you understand as above, so below, all this stuff ties in together. And that's why I say, that's why you would need an expert like me who knows all of that. So you can find out what's going on. But you got to also do your part, which is to listen, read, take notes. But this is brilliant, but it takes a little bit of maturity. And most people don't want to have nothing to do with it. They just want a love story. Even if it means they're going to get their heart broke or whatever, they'd rather have that than to have the answer. And this is why, like I said, this is why so many people run into drugs, alcohol. They just want to escape. They don't want to deal with the maturity part of it. But the more mature you become, I honestly believe the better your relationship's going to get. And that's the funny thing about life. When somebody can really see, because that's how the Kenyan was. When I used to date the Kenyan, she would just study you and she would adapt. Like if she thought she could get away with something, she would try it. But if she saw you were getting frustrated and starting to lose interest, she would immediately change, not to lose you. And a lot of people don't do that. So that's why you hear me talk about the Kenyan more than any female I've ever been with. Because I never saw somebody like her before. But that's what it is. You can't just sit back thinking, well, he should come to me or she should come to me. Sometimes you got to get up because the person wants to know, are you serious or not? I don't care about all the signs. I don't care about all the numerology. I don't care about all that. What about you? This is me and you. Because I'm not going into another shitty ass relationship. It's not happening. And that's why when I wrote a song, I wrote a song called Aquarius Snow, and that's basically what I said. So, and I believe in that. You know what I'm saying? I could care less about anything else. I believe in that. If it's meant to be, it'll be. All the universe can do is bring you two together. But I just showed you how the universe said in 2014 and 2016, this is the one. But then in 2017, they said, leave that person alone. She doesn't deserve you. So what happened? I didn't change. Something had to happen. Or either, like I said, sometimes you should use the brain God gave you. And you use your heart. And use your intuition. And don't just go by certain stuff. Like I said, if you listen to a real astrologer, they say guide. If you listen to a card reader, they say guide. They say guidance. Even Doreen Virtue, you would always say guide, angel guide. It's just a guide. You have to make the final decision. What might work for you might not work for the person next to you. You have to make the final decision. Alrighty. Give me one moment. Okay, now that we had that background, we'll move forward. But again, everybody's not like me. Now, somebody might say, well, you know, I believe I'm going to give it a try or whatever. And that's their business. All right, give me a moment. A lot of times in life, make sure when you're doing something, make sure it's done. Because I notice whenever I take my eye off of anything, it does, it doesn't go through. But that's like spiritual warfare. Like you be doing a billion things, and the moment you can't get to this, that's the one that's gonna fall, like fail, doesn't. And it's kind of difficult because you're only one person. You can't do everything. But unfortunately, when spiritual warfare, it's like that. So you always got to get in the habit of really watching stuff and double checking everything. All right, give me a moment again. Okay, so her first house is Libra. So her ascendant is her rising sign is Libra. Now, ascendant is where the sun was going over the horizon when she was born. That's Libra. The east point, EP, is where the sun was going over the ecliptic, crossing the ecliptic when she was born. Now, with Mars retrograde deals a lot with kind of like repressed anger. You can even call it repressed intensity. But you have to be careful of that type of person because they just break out like in a road rage or something. Like it'll almost come out of nowhere with Mars retrograde. The person may deal with self-doubt, passive aggression, inner angst. See, like as I'm saying this, see, I'm trying to help you. I really am. I'm trying to help everybody. That's why I keep everybody confidential, but I make everything public. See, if you're listening to this video, this is where you would be taking notes. Because this is how you get your help that you're looking for. Like if you notice, I might deal with, like the human nature is that, I don't have passive aggression, or I don't. And and a lot of times people try to like communicate with me, but they don't understand what this is about. This is not so much about you communicating with me because I really don't know you. Me and you will probably never meet each other. You understand? So it's not like you communicating with me. So it's about you taking notes. Because if I did my natal chart, it may be some stuff on it that really is me. But, you know, because we're not perfect, it's just human nature to reject it. Oh, that's not that. I'm not that way. What is he? He's got that one wrong. Okay, but even if I did have it wrong, you understand it's still your chart. So you want to make sure you do it. And when I say you, I'm talking about anybody that's listening. So there's no way this could ever be personal because we don't know each other. And that's why I designed it this way, to help the people that are listening. Because I know a lot of people, like it's already saying passive aggression and stuff. So there's a lot of people that they're ready to try to talk to me when this has nothing to do with me because it's not my chart. So all I can do is read what the experts are saying. I can read what I see, but then you have to take the notes. And if you feel it's for you, then now you know where to look at. Well, I got to deal with passive aggression. I got to deal with inner angst or inner anger. I got to deal with inner stress and anguish. Or if you honestly feel that's not you, then just not you. Like, you don't have to turn it into, oh no, that's not what that. Because a lot of people do that, you know, and they don't understand the whole purpose of your natal chart. So the whole purpose of you to get your natal chart this way is to show you areas that maybe you need to be aware of, and it's public, although confidential, but it's public so that it can help other people listening. But it's never to go back and forth, because if you were 100% right, it's still not going to affect me because it's not my life. It's your chart. So that's what you have to do. If you really want to see change in your life, you gotta take the notes. You gotta ask yourself, is that true? Or did anybody ever tell me that? Or if I'm passive aggressive when I'm really getting upset but I act like I'm not, you know. So they say when a person has these inner things going on, they call it inner angst. And I'm just gonna say inner anxiety going on, passive aggression, or I call it repression as well. It can be released in unhealthy ways. But it said this person can also face illness, heightened stress, increase in conflicts, or road rage. Short tempers, this person might have difficulty speaking up for themselves. They may lack self-confidence. They may put emotional blocks on themselves, and that'll cause them to not achieve their dreams. And sometimes they look to other people to speak up for them or fight their battles for them, and then they become upset if people don't do it. And sometimes they feel like they're a doormat. So when they do speak up, it's usually when they're taking all they can and then they're blowing. In a past life, you may have been directed to perform regrettable acts under someone else's orders or demands. You may have been a soldier, a guard, or even a criminal. So in this life, you have to learn how to deal with repression, deal with stress, internal. You gotta learn how to bring stuff that's internal out, but you have to do it constructively in a productive manner. And they say building, hammering, gardening. Sometimes I say writing, whatever. Like, I mean, for me, YouTube was a great help. Was YouTube. Why was a great help? Because I got help for my own therapy. And also I was helping a whole lot of people that were listening. That's why I continue to do it even now. Like I said, if I just wanted to do marketing, I'd be filthy rich. But just a desire to help. Because that's on my natal chart. That nurturer is on that's my true life purpose, nurturer. So this person needs to learn techniques of relaxation as well. And they said you also got to learn how to deal with the issues you brought into this life. Now remember, this is really it's your first house, but you see that 12 right there. And your 12th house, like your 12th house represents like endings and past life stuff. And your first house can represent what you're trying to accomplish in this life. So that's why your chart is like that. So that's the first thing you have to deal with. That's why I read it that way. And then when you go into your Libra, represents the 7th house. So where you should be, I am Aries in the 1st house, we are Libra, which means you're always thinking about a couple, or in order for you to make a move, you got to think about a couple. Because I know a person, they're kind of like that. You know, they're always worrying about this, what I ate or what was on my plate, or you know, like over the weekend we had a big celebration, and I guess because they were so busy with the people, they saying they didn't even get a chance to really eat, but yet they were telling me about what was on my plate. So that's too much, you know. Like I said, because nobody's a little kid, so that's too much. You know, that's what I'm saying. When you're worrying too much about the next person and not yourself, that's too much. But that's what's going to happen with this person, because they want the whole partnership thing, because that's Libra. They want the relationship. They may have legal concerns, social issues. They want fairness, and all that stuff is good. But see, your 1st house should be about you. You know, so you got to be careful, because your 1st house will be about you coexisting with someone or something else. And then with that Mars retrograde, you could actually be pushing it away, because then in your 7th house you got Aries, which ain't gonna be good, because now Aries is supposed to be about relationships. We are, but Aries is I am. So it's almost like when you see somebody when they're not in a relationship, they're saying, "Oh, you know, I just wish I could get in a relationship. Oh, if I could just find the right person. Oh." But then when they get in a relationship, they're like, "Whoa, wait a minute. Call you? I'm a grown woman. I don't have to call you. I'll call you if I don't call you, so what? If I want to jump in my car and go down to the casinos, that's my business." So right now, her most interesting house right now is her 7th house. Let me make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Because she seems to be a great communicator. But it's Aries and Lilith retrograde. But usually when you see Lilith retrograde in any of like the family houses or the relationship houses, it's usually repression, feminine repressive energy. And usually that person feels a certain way. Maybe somebody made them feel like an outcast somewhere. Or maybe they feel like internally that they don't deserve a relationship. Or they feel like they're being overlooked, which makes them become somewhat more aggressive. Now, Saturn, which deals with karma. So this is definitely a karmic relationship. So right away you can see that your twin soul could be some type of Aries energy, as well as some type of Saturn energy. Remember, Aries rules. Saturn rules Capricorn energy. And a lot of times you'll meet your twin soul or soulmate at your job, because Saturn rules Capricorn. Capricorn is your career. Mars rules Aries. So you definitely got that kind of aggression going on. And they're kind of implying that you're somewhat aggressive because something happened to you in a past life. And that's what Lilith retrograde can mean. Because Lilith is very repressive. But they gave you Mercury. So that's what I would say to you. Because like I said, all of us, like I'm not a young man. And sometimes when you're younger, especially for women, you'll go through life just being like fighting, even when you don't need to fight. And that's kind of like what you're seeing on this chart, because it seems like she has a lot of stuff to say in the relationship sector, but she's saying all the wrong things. Like what you're looking at is Lilith energy retrograde, and you're looking at Aries. So this is a person that's in a relationship that's basically saying, "Hey, I'm a grown woman. Hey, you're not going to be telling me what to do." And bottom line is because of some repression with Lilith retrograde. And also, when you look at her 7th house, you got to go back to her first, because that's Libra. Libra rules the 7th house, and then you see Mars retrograde. So it's almost like she's like, because of something that happened in the past life or in her past, she's not going to take no shorts. But unfortunately, like the numerologist said, when you go into a relationship like that, you're almost fighting against it. And that's why I said with me, a lot of times, before I understood life, like I understand life now, so certain things I just don't do. But now they say I'm aloof, but it's not that I'm aloof, but the point is, sometimes you can't even start the first step. Because it's almost like you meet somebody and you're kind of hoping it can go one way. But looking at this chart, because I know for a fact, like if you're mouthing off at me already and we just met, I'm not going to want to talk to you. And then they kind of get mad at you because you pull away so quickly. And I guess, like I said, I'm a number 3. I'm like a Gemini. And Gemini will tap out quick because I've been through so much on this planet. And so the female's looking at you like, she's upset, she's mad, she's calling you a punk. But then there's another side of her that's feeling really, why did he leave me? Oh, I'm not a bad person. And that's what you see with the Lilith retrograde. Because that's the repression and the insecurities that she keeps internal. So just looking at these first 2 houses, this person has to learn to let it, and it doesn't matter what age you are, because you could still find love or something. Because things change with people. Like when you were 20, love meant one thing, but when you start hitting that 50, 60, love could mean something else. Love could just mean somebody you sit and watch TV with. Like it could be anything. Each person is different. For some people, it could still mean the same type of sex you had when you were in your 20s, even though you might be older. So it could mean anything. So that's why I said when I teach, instead of people getting upset, listen, take notes. Because I don't know anybody I'm not out here to get people upset. I'm out here to get people to think. Because once you start to think, you begin to change. In the moment you can get over some people are in somewhat of a fantasy world. And the more they realize nobody's perfect and I'm not getting any younger, they begin to make better decisions. And like I said before, how I feel is somebody at your job might be your soulmate, but because of whatever reasons, you may feel that it's just not, the timing is horrible for that particular person. So the ball is in their court to show you, oh no, the timing is perfect for us. And if they choose not to do it, then the timing probably wasn't right. That's all I'm trying to tell anybody that's listening. Because if that person really believed, like y'all both having dream and y'all both are showing up in each other's dreams, y'all both got all this supernatural telepathic stuff going on. So if you really felt a certain way, you would make a move. But if you're waiting on the next person to make a move, it's because you're setting conditions, and that ain't gonna happen. It might happen for some of y'all, but other people that just don't want to, be with you one minute and then not with you the next, they're not gonna make that move because they just don't think you're ready, or for different reasons they're like, nah, it could never work. So if you're in that situation and you think it could work, try to make that person into a believer. Say, well, how do I do that? Like, if y'all work together, try to find your way around them one way or another. How's your day going? Well, that's good. Have a good day. If I don't get to talk to you again, have a good day. It's just little stuff like that. You're like, wow, she really goes out her way to talk to me. Because some females say, well, I don't want him to get a big head, or, I want to play hard to get. Well, then you just said you want to play hard to get, which means it may be hard for him to get you. Like, you got to understand what you're saying. And this doesn't have nothing to do with whether you're 20 or 30 or 50 or 60. It has to do with taking action if you feel a certain way. If you really don't want to be single. But once you're no longer single, you can't be mouthing off and starting wars on your independence and stuff. You got to get a grip. Now, don't get me wrong. If somebody's trying to bully you or turn you into something, or you got to, then of course you would stand up for yourself. That's when you use your Aries energy and your Mercury communication. That's when, because the person's getting a little too crazy. That, I'm a grown woman. Like, no, we're going to talk about it, whatever. But whatever, I'm not doing that. That's when you stand up for yourself. But you just don't go into the situation with Mars retrograde and all that crazy stuff, because that's what you're going to get back. Single. Or you're with some guy that, you wish you weren't with, or something like that. All right, so that's the best. So that's a great way to start off the natal chart, because we've already seen there will be issues with relationships, partnerships, agreements. Libra can also be legal issues. There's going to be repression issues, and those repressive issues may deal with some things she's been through. Could even be some past life stuff. But in her relationship or business, all the things I just said, she has Mercury as a communication, but she has to make sure she's communicating on what's actually real and not just what's in her anxiety or her repression and things like that. Now, that's why I said this is how you do a natal chart. If you're writing that stuff down and really studying it, that's what I would call the first step to a good breakthrough. That's how it's supposed to be done. But if you're saying, oh, that's not even how, he's wrong on, I'm not that way, and you're looking to duke it out with me, then the whole process, you're fighting against it. Just like if the doctor's trying to operate on you on the table and you're going to keep telling him, oh, no, of course operation's not going to go well. So each person is different. Some people can take natal charts and actually benefit from it, and some people take it as if there's going to be some type of warfare. But with me, my job is to make sure I give you a thorough explanation of what's going on with your natal chart or whatever else you ordered, and then my job is done. As long as I thoroughly did my job is done at that point. And I tell everybody that. And it took a while to really get there, but it had to be, because I look at other people on YouTube and I see how they had to go through that same process, because you can be overwhelmed, overwhelmed. And sometimes it's not worth it, because some people try to, I'll just talk really nice to the people and I'll really just get them the money and, I'll figure out a way. But you're killing yourself. So yeah, you are making a lot of money, but you're killing yourself. You're draining yourself. And that's why you see some of these readers, they just disappear for a while and then they come back after a while, because they're totally drained out. So sometimes it's just not worth it. Because if somebody's really looking for answers, they'll do what they have to do. And that's who I'm looking for. I'm looking for people that are really looking for answers. Like you will take your notepad, you will think about it, you will look over your life, and you will be honest with yourself. And it's not always easy to be honest with yourself, but that's going to be the perfect place to start if you want to see your life get better. Now, second house. Again, see, your second house is supposed to be about your money, but Scorpio rules the 8th house, and that's about other people's money and shared resources. So all this stuff is going to be going on in your second house. And even with a Neptune retrograde, that's the escapist. And that's even alcoholism, even drug abuse or drug addictions. So this is the escapism, and this is the person that would be spend a lot of time in their own mind and in a fantasy world. A lot of secrets. When you're dealing with Neptune retrograde and Scorpio, you're dealing with a lot of secrets. So in your second house, which should be about your money, your resources, and your value system, you got all this 8th house stuff going on in the second house. And again, this person, when you meet them, they could be very doubtful, because Scorpio is very doubtful, but so is Neptune retrograde. And your second house, because of Neptune, is going to affect your 12th house a lot, because of Neptune rules Pisces. Now remember, your number 12 is kind of connected to your number 1. But your 12th house now is really where you see that Virgo. And you see those other 2 planets, Pluto and Uranus, that are retrograde. And they're conjunct. So Virgo represents the home, or the 6th house. But also represents, like, if a person was in the military or some type of service, some type of duty. Also represents your health. So they warned this person that you might have some health problems, and looking at it, they may have. But the good thing about Scorpio is Scorpio can heal. See, Scorpio is very powerful. Okay, and even her Vesta, she has Vesta retrograde. That asteroid is Vesta retrograde. Again, I'm in the second house where you see that it looks like a pitchfork. That's Neptune retrograde. Now, just to let you know, Scorpio energy deals a lot with sex, secrets, great transformation, wherever Pluto is, because Pluto rules Scorpio. But intensity, watery emotions, obsessions, addictions, compulsive behavior, power struggles, anything unknown, freaky stuff, could be highly sexual stuff. But they have all that going on in the second house. That's your money house. So it could mean a person that loses money, or it could mean a person that really used those things to make money. And also, Scorpio represents the 8th house of business, even a business manager, investigation, or you might be a financial matter for somebody else. And it's still dealing with number 8, the 8th house, so it's dealing with karma again. So all this is in the second house. So it may be a person that at some point in their life, they used any of those things to make money as well. So we're going to look at Vesta retrograde. And right away they associated Vesta retrograde with repression again. So again, repression is that person is holding these things in. So for twin flames and divine partnerships, because remember, Scorpio does represent other people's shared resources and other people's money, but you sharing resources with somebody else. So again, this person is dealing with Libra energy, first house, so that could be twin flame or couples. And now she's dealing with shared resources, which can again be twin flame and couples. So they say what Vesta does with you, it tries to help you advance from third dimensional thinking to fifth dimensional energies or fifth dimensional thinking. That's kind of like how I started this, talking about that kind of stuff. Vesta is going to try to help you balance the masculine energies with the feminine energies and purify and heal you. And she's working with energies that especially deal with sexuality and sexual energies. And that's really what Scorpio does deal with. But it's just interesting to me that how they put that in your second house, because it will be finances as well. Possessions, finances, and your value system. But it'll help you be very creative in that house as well. And remember, Vesta is a priestess as well. And ironically, I told you about your 12th house. Well, ironically, Vesta does work with Virgo, and Virgo's in your 12th house. So whatever took place in your second house or will take place in your second house is actually going to help your home life, your 6th house, and also your 12th house. I'm just reading this over. And they say Vesta retrograde could affect communication and technology. And that is kind of like a Scorpio theme. Because remember, this is her money house. So any of those areas I said, I'm pretty sure I said sexual because the 8th house is highly sexual. But any of those areas I mentioned could be where she makes money in the 2nd house. Because like I said, some of your best entertainers, they really are. They're kind of repressive. And they just put all that stuff that's inside of them into the creative world through entertainment. And that's why they make so much money. Because like a rapper like Eminem, he's like that. So they say Vesta governs communication, travel, and learning. But Vesta is also isolation too. So Vesta retrograde can represent miscommunication or technological bugs, botched business deals, missed flights, a mechanical issue with your car or anything like, transportation technology, cell phone not working or breaking. So now we want to go 23 degrees Scorpio. And give me a moment, I'll look that up. All right. Okay, so 20 degrees Scorpio. Adaptable, simple, and honest character. Although one works for a living, one deeply enjoys it. One fully appreciates success and honors, but keeps a cool head. One is endowed with high moral standards, refined feelings, and a very good health. This degree is highlighted in the natal chart of many French statements. Now, the third house is ruled by Gemini. It's about short travel, short distances, younger education, siblings, the environment around you, the so-called brotherhood, creativity. The third house is a very creative house. The fifth house is a very creative house. But also anything with Scorpio can be very creative as well. So Sagittarius represents like the ninth house, the higher self, higher education. It can represent like a longer relationship, like a second marriage, or people who broke up but then they got back together and now they're a little bit more serious about it. So that's Sagittarius energy. So again, and of course Sagittarius represents like forming a longer distance. And of course that's all that's there for that third house. That's all we got to go on for now. Now, the fourth house is unique. You see the moon. See, the fourth house is supposed to be ruled by Cancer. But see, the moon and Cancer in the fourth house is your Imum Coeli. But you actually have Capricorn in your fourth house. And the Imum Coeli is your mother and your subconscious. Now, Capricorn in the fourth house is showing a masculine energy. And this masculine energy does have some type of connection to the moon, which the moon actually represents the maternal, or like I said, mother in your subconscious mind, Imum Coeli. So that's your moon sign, Capricorn, as well. So Capricorn usually represents career and reputation. When you see Capricorn in the fourth house, it could represent some type of family business. Otherwise, you just have to note that it's masculine energy in your fourth house. Capricorn could be about old souls or business and career and finance, career and reputation. But you know, Capricorn is still going to represent the 10th house. So this person's 4th house will be connected to the 10th house. And we'll have to learn more when we get there. Now, the 5th house, when you see Aquarius in the 5th house, because the 5th house is ruled by Leo, 4th house ruled by Cancer. The 5th house is all about fun. It's also a very creative house. See, this person is very creative and they may rely on technology one way or another. Because Scorpio is technology, Aquarius is technology. So Aquarius, Gemini, Sagittarius, they're all about freedom. And it's funny, when you see her Sagittarius, you don't see anything else there. When you see her Aquarius, you don't see anything else there. So the 5th house can be children, fun, anything that's fun or recreational, taking risks. But when you see Aquarius there in the 5th house, this is a person that'll definitely that has no problem with alternative or unconventional relationships. Oh, getting back to the ascendant about Libra. Now with Libra, they try to have everything balanced, and they're social people. They do care about the world around them, and they you know they're kind of like they're like Virgo, like they're perfectionists. But the world's not perfect, and this is what I'm trying to tell everybody. And he said it to the numerologist. See, that's why I said take notes and apply it. Don't the way this is designed is that the people can get the help they need. Because you know a lot of people do worry about what people think and all that, so I make sure everything's confidential. But at some point you have to want to realize, you know, because I knew a person and I knew her pretty well. And when I did her reading, like what I would really do, I would rely on the experts. Like I know astrology too, but like people make it personal. It's not personal. So I would just start reading from the experts, you know, because I'm like, okay, now I know they're not going to sit here and argue with the experts because I didn't even say it. I'm just reading what the experts said. And you know, you met a lot of people that still wanted to argue even then. So, but this particular person, I knew them. So everything that was said was like that. That was that person's personality. And then they went, but they argued about everything. Like I said, I knew this person. No matter what you did, they'd argue. If you did a reading, they would try to argue. They'd argue with the archangels. They just was gonna argue, but no matter what. And I was just getting sick of it, like literally, you know. And they did good. Like financially, they always paid, but I was just sick of it. Like you argue with everything. So everybody's wrong but you. You argue with everybody, everything, argue with archangels, everything you argue. You're trying to do the reading, you're trying to drop the card. She asks a question, before you could drop the card, she's already arguing. Okay, so why are we taking a reading if you're not gonna let me get through it? It's kind of funny though. You know what I'm saying? Like if they paid for if they paid for the conversation, the time, the majority will go to arguing, and then at the end of it, they want to argue because they didn't get their questions out. I know you argue through everything. So I was through. Like I was through with that. I don't care. It ain't enough money in the world to make me keep doing this crazy stuff. That person just wanted to argue about everything. So that reading was accurate because I knew the person. And everything the reading said, that's what they were. But immediately before listening to the reading or whatever, once again, they want to argue. And I was like, nah, not this time. It took me this amount of time to do that reading, and now you're contacting me already. Want to argue. There's no way you listen to that reading yet, just based on the hours of the video. And I was like, nah, that's it. So, life will be what we make it, including me. It's not always somebody else's fault. Now, with my twin, Rosa, that wasn't going to work out. Basically, what may have happened with her was it may have been we may have had a horrible relationship in the past life, and when she came around, maybe it was just about karma. But remember, it was all about Capricorn, or the 10th house energy, because Capricorn represents karma. That's where I met her at. And even names at my job were real unique. Like my boss's name at that job was Damien, but if you think about it, Damien was the name of the devil, and that movie The Omen. So what people are not understanding what I'm saying is this. And it was Damien that finally did something after 2 years that kind of led to me and her finally getting into it or whatever, and which basically led to the ending of everything with me and her. So all this stuff is meant to happen as above, so below, and it has esoteric and hidden meanings and metaphysical meanings. And that's why I said sometimes some things are not meant to happen as people would expect, or the reason why you two met may not be a reunion. It could actually be some payback for some past life stuff. It might be some karma. So whenever you see Capricorn in career or Saturn, you have to be mindful of that, because her Saturn is in where? The relationship sector. And what a lot of people don't know is your 4th house of family sector can be about your twin flame or twin soul as well, and so can the 10th sector. Because when you do the Archangel card readings, like Shamuel talks about your career, but he's also talking about your soulmate. So he's already connecting your soulmate to your career. And like I said, I met my twin at the job. Years after high school, I met Tammy at the job. And then I meet this other female that I'm pretty sure is some type of connection to me, some type of soul connection. And she's at the job. But this is because career has to do with karma. And Saturn will always be the person God calls to implement all this. Because you see God call Satan or Saturn in Job chapter 1 and 2. And then when Jesus got baptized, it was the Holy Spirit that took Jesus to be tempted of the devil in Matthew chapter 4. So this is all universal laws. It's just that people don't understand it. So my job is to explain it. And again, to get the most out of it, take notes and don't be afraid to apply it to yourself, because that's how you'll get better. Like in my case, I have to realize the situation I'm in. And if I don't feel a certain way, then it would be wrong for me to pursue it. Because why would you start something that is not going to get finished either by the person realizing, oh no, wait a minute, what am I getting myself into? Or by you saying, well, I'm not really happy with this. So that's why I say sometimes you have to think. And that's the first step. Are you ready for this? What are you going to do if it falls out, it doesn't work? You got to know all that. And therefore, when you do approach the person, you'll have better confidence and stuff. This is why sometimes Saturn will slow you down to help you mature. And that's why I said my moon sign is Capricorn, because that's a more mature person. So whenever you see a ninth house or Sagittarius energy with moon sign in Capricorn, if the person does what they're supposed to, they'll be a little bit more mature. But sometimes being mature turns off a lot of people, because a lot of people don't want to be that mature. They just want to run around and stuff. Like I said, a lot of people want to be in love and they really don't care if they cheat on each other. They really don't care if they break up, because all they're going with is a present emotion. But when you're maturer, you don't view life like that. You hold yourself accountable, and that's what karma does. So the person in the fifth house, Aquarius, is the community. They love people. And if you notice in her 11th house, which is ruled by Aquarius, there's Juno. So now we know she may find herself in a serious relationship with an Aquarius or Leo energy. Now again, if we had all the natal charts of the men she knows, one or more of those charts may show you that this person is the possible twin. And the more you investigate the charts, the more you can narrow it down to which one. But all these energies and signs I'm calling out is because somewhere, somehow, these people will have or have had a relationship in her present life, or place in her present life, or her past life. Now remember, Aquarius is unconventional. So when you see somebody with the fifth house Aquarius, they may be dating, but it may be alternative. It could be anything, but it's not going to be a conventional relationship. So now we jump right to the 11th house, and you see Leo there. So now Leo rules the fifth house, childlike activity, having fun, taking risk, highly creative. Like they were saying, this could be a person associated with the entertainment world. But there, they have Juno, and Juno means you might find yourself in a serious relationship with somebody of Aquarius or Leo energy. Now I see how her Juno is 747 and her Neptune retrograde is 23 degrees, because 23 degrees is the Sirius constellation. And then, 747 is also flight out in the sky. And a lot of times when you see the number 19 on a natal chart, that makes up implications of the same thing, or 919 or something like that. And ironically, tomorrow is going to be 919, and they're already talking about seeing something in the sky, like in New Mexico or some stuff. Like, you hear about that on Paul Bagley's channel and stuff like that. But I already told you September was going to be a unique month, because remember, this is when they bombed those towers, and that was 17 years later. And that was all about twins. A lot of people don't equate twin flames with twin towers, but it's all the same energy. And the thing is, you have to go down so that you can come back up as one. And that's the Phoenix rising. And we hope it doesn't happen that way, but it may all go down in fire. Out of chaos comes order. And that's the Phoenix rising out of the fire that she herself started. And ironically, I was just about to talk about Taurus being sacrificed, and then her sun sign is Taurus, which is very interesting, and that's her true north node. The 11th house also deals with friends, association, and groups. So like I said, usually when you see Leo in the 11th house, this is a person that's somewhat of a leader. But they may use 11th house to generate business or make money or whatever they're doing. But also because they're around friends, association, and groups, it's easier to find that Juno love. That Juno love. Sixth house, Pisces. Again, sixth house is a lot like the 12th house. But again, the sixth house is really the house of healing, health, service. So again, this is going to be a spiritual person, like helping out in the community. But the sixth house is health, healing, service, daily activities, which could include your job. It deals with small children, small animals, and it deals with the home. And the good news is she has Chiron retrograde there. So that means she will find some healing in her home environment, in her health environment, as long as she's inspirational to other people in the 12th house. And with those two retrogrades there, we're going to have to find out what happened in her 12th house because you got the two retrogrades. Now we already did the 7th house. Now in the 8th house, which is a true north node, and her sun sign, and the vertex. Now, the vertex means you may have a significant meeting, a significant event, a significant making up, or the vertex, that cross you're looking at, might mean this is a soulmate, a soulmate relationship, or a twin flame relationship, which is or a twin soul relationship. So the twin soul is a twin flame, same thing, and soulmate is something totally different. All right. So Taurus in the 8th house can be extremely sensual. Now, Pallas helps a person to see patterns or pick up things by noticing patterns. But Pallas is also a very social asteroid. So once again, you're going to be caring about the social issues. But this is an extremely sensual person. And all that stuff I said in the 2nd house is going to be in this 8th house because it's ruled by Scorpio. But it's funny that in your 8th house, you're going to be somewhat concerned about the finances there because of Taurus. But really, it's supposed to be Taurus in the 2nd house because that's money, finances, possessions. But the universe switched it. So now in your 2nd house, you're worrying about other people's resources and stuff like that and not as much about yours. And then in the house where it should be other people and not you, the person is already there with the sun sign Taurus. All right. So that would be, that could be the twin soul, which is your twin flame, but it could also be a soulmate because that could be Taurus. That's why I said when you have your chart, especially when you know like people's astrological signs, because you could say, "Oh yeah, David. I remember David. David, we did have kind of a serious relationship, and he was a Leo. See, that's Juno right there. And I met I met David through some friends or associates or whatever, and that's the 11th house. But then you might have had a deep soulmate relationship with somebody, and that would be, hey, I remember that's John, and he was a Taurus or a Scorpio. Like I said, David could have been a Leo or Aquarius. And me and John did have a very highly sexual, soul type of relationship. So that's what's going on in her 8th house. Definitely a soul house, a soul situation. Now, like I told you, now we're in the ninth house, and now you have Gemini in the ninth house, but you have Libra there. Or now, well, you have Venus there. Gemini is all about thought and communication, like I said, but it's short term. But now they put it in the ninth house with Venus. So this might be a past relationship that goes a little bit longer now because of love, because Venus is right there. Now your ninth house is your higher self, is culture. It's also higher laws, in-laws, higher courts. When a person has class or culture, anything that's kind of what we call long distance or foreign. And that's how Venus is connected there, which with Gemini energy. So you might find yourself in a relationship with a Gemini that it breaks down, but then somehow it gets picked back up. But the good news is, again, with Gemini, it means good communications, especially with Venus. And 18 degrees is 666, which is like perfect love in astrology. So that little circle with the X in the middle, that's called part of fortune or a good fortune. So we're going to take a look at that. Part of fortune in the ninth house. This person will love to travel because that's how they express themselves or communicate. They like to travel. They have philosophy, higher education, philosophical thought, spirituality, or publishing. Because wherever you see Gemini, whether the third house or the sign Gemini, it could be publishing as well. It's always going to be some type of creativity or arts and entertainment. So this person may find fortunes far from home. They profit from the people at a distance. So even when you look at their ninth house and you look at their 11th house, that love could be from a distance, because Aquarius also deals with like from a distance, like the World Wide Web. Both Sagittarius and Aquarius kind of deal with communicating or moving from a distance. So this person studies, and with those studies, he learns how he can assist other people. This person may be a natural clairvoyant. Most of their labors are mental. And this person loves to expand their education and broaden their visa. So they're implying the person really, likes to travel. Part of fortune, Venus. This person will have tremendous personal charm. They will be good looking, and harmony and balance come easy to them. Well, that's what a Libra likes. Oh yeah, so what I was saying, so sometime with a Libra, you know, sometimes you might say, well, let's just agree to disagree. And a Libra is not necessarily going to just agree to disagree. And they'll keep bringing it up. Or they'll keep trying to find different ways to bring it up. Because they're trying to get you to agree with what they said. So you have to be careful with that. Because some people may view that as nagging. So the best advice anybody can take into their lives is that realize nobody's perfect. So we definitely want somebody wonderful in our lives, but we can't expect them to be our answer to everything. Because nobody's perfect. So now we're at the 10th house, which is really the career house, and you had a family there. So this person will have some type of career or reputation and some type of family situation. But remember, let's go back to the 4th house ruled by Cancer. It's not just family, it's also teenage to adult education, land and property or real estate, family and ancestors, the heart or a vehicle, transportation. So any of that might be in a career and reputation house, house number 10. But remember, medium coeli also is your life purpose. Medium coeli also works with your true north node, which is your life purpose in this life. So once again, it's connected to the 8th house with the family, and that could be a soul family. So anything in the 8th house could also be going on in the 10th house. And Taurus from the 8th house represents how this person gets their money or their value system. And Jupiter is right there. So like they said, this person will be kind of busy, and because you stay busy and it's kind of favorable on your chart, that means you may really make good income. And then Keris is also the nurturer. So this person, when it comes into the career sector, she's kind of like the nurturer. She makes money off of that sector, the 10th house. But there's also some type of family vibe there. Now, the 12th house is all about healing, no matter how you look at it. Even if Virgo wasn't there, because Virgo's all about healing. I already explained what Virgo is. There's 6th house. So whatever's ever going on in your 6th house, the 12th house is trying to heal it as well. Now, in the 6th house, you're dealing with Pisces energy. So what you're trying to do is inspire other people to use that quality, those strong qualities you have. And sometimes you find people who can benefit from you. And sometimes you find other situations that are challenges, but you really want your home environment to function in a functional way, so that you're not being pulled back to things that can't really help you. And that's what happens with most people when they don't open their minds up to the natal charts in astrology, because they have no clue of what's going on. So Pluto retrograde means something is going to be taken away from you in this 12th house energy, which could be the home, but it could also be, let's just say you go to some type of spiritual building or something, like a building, because the 12th house is all about buildings and coming closure and things that are hidden and things in the subconscious, things that have been swept under the cover, under the carpet. So your 12th house is your shake-up house, but remember your 12th house is also going to be connected to your 6th house. And as I said, whenever you see Pluto retrograde, it just means something is going to be taken away. Because if that wasn't taken away, you may stay in your comfort zone and you may not reach out to whatever the universe is trying to put before you. So Pluto will come suddenly, dramatically take it away, and Uranus can happen suddenly as well, forcing you to really take seriously your healing or nursing or whatever you're doing. Because remember, at this point, it's really about you helping other people, and nobody should have to call you. You should kind of like be in the forefront of helping individuals. So Uranus retrograde can suddenly take away things that you are hanging on to. So when things you are used to having are suddenly taken away from you, that's when Uranus is also all about sudden changes. It makes you have to reevaluate your values. Because whenever you deal with your second house or your eighth house, you're going to be dealing with your value system anyway. And the 12th house is really like the finality of the eighth house. So Pluto brings change through destruction and rebuilding, or rejuvenation or regeneration. It could also be government upheavals, weapons, and war. Sometimes being forced into change is the only way that a person can be pushed forward. Because remember, even the 12th house is really about endings. The 12th house is about endings and karma. So a person with a Pluto retrograde faces issues of control. They may have a fault of trying to control everything, which is a big fault. And this is why some people can't stand a relationship, because nobody wants somebody else constantly controlling everything. So you don't want to hold on to things that really is time to let go. And like I said, so Pluto retrograde is going to force it out. And unfortunately, see, they're talking about if you were holding on to a partner so tight it's almost suffocating. That's like a perfect retrograde for a Pluto retrograde adultery, Pluto retrograde infidelity, because if something's going to hit fast and hit so hard and impactful that it'll definitely leave you reevaluating, finally saying maybe I was controlling him too much. So in a past life, you may have been ostracized from your family and community, or you might have been exiled from your home country. You may have been a scapegoat for the community and you stood alone for bad deeds that perhaps you didn't even commit. So now, this is why this person may now be mistrustful. Remember, Pluto rules Scorpio, and I already told you Scorpio is very doubtful. So this person may be mistrustful of other people. So what they have to do in this life, because remember, Pluto and Saturn teach you lessons. You have to learn to trust. You have to learn patience. So they just have to learn how to deal with like different situations. Some people you can trust, some people are not trustworthy. So it's not going to be an easy process. And then Uranus retrograde. They say expect the unexpected. Surprises come out of nowhere. So with Uranus retrograde, surprises come out of nowhere. Those surprises could be wonderful, but they could also be undesirable. They say Uranus is the eyeball of the planets, but remember, Uranus rules Aquarius in your fifth house. Now, Uranus retrograde can bring chaos either internally or externally. But see, when it's in your 12th house, it's internal because we've already determined this person deals with a lot of internal concerns. And that's why if you heard me, I was speaking. And that's why when you're taking notes, you can be writing out what areas you can start to focus on. Because like I said, it's human nature to reach out to me. But it's, after I show you what's there, it's up to you because there's nothing I can do because it's not my natal chart. But you have areas now to look at because that's what it's really going to boil down to. Like anything else, it's like if you're talking about love, it's a love story, but it's usually going to fizz in and fizz out usually because to make anything work, it's going to take a measure of maturity. Like your job's not going to work. It's not your job's not going to keep you around if you're going to keep not being there or coming or you get there and don't do what you're supposed to or every time somebody tells you to do something, you got an excuse of why you're not going to do it. It's at some point they're going to get sick of you and just get rid of you. So with Uranus retrograde, you're kind of like be surprised, like one day you might be one personality and another day you might be another. But again, when you're like that, you have to be careful because you can't blame people who don't know how to respond to you. And in my life, I deal with a lot of very immature people. So I try to just stay in my Capricorn. But even then, they just keep coming up to me. Like, we just live in a very unique world. It's almost like if you're serious, they say you need to lighten up. But if you lighten up, hey, you need to grow up. You need to get a little bit. So no, it's like whatever way you go, it's always going to be something. You have to find your peace in your space. And the reason why I'm talking the way I'm talking, because me and this person are more closer of the same age. This is just stuff I learned. Because you could literally lose your mind on planet Earth. Because it's always something. So you have to find your space where, okay, listen, I don't owe you anything. You think I do. But I'm a grown adult. You keep trying to pull me into your world, but I'm not in your world, and nor do I want to be in your world. And people will keep trying and keep trying. And then me, I'm more spiritual. So anything I do is always going to be based on the scripture somewhere. And people really don't want that. Because people want to have the Bible and they want to say Jesus, Jesus or whatever. But then they want to do what they want to. And they don't want anybody to say, hey, you shouldn't do that. That's unscriptural. They don't want to hear that. So it's a lot of games on planet Earth. And that's why I'm saying as you grow up, things become different. But as you grow up into who you really are at this time in your life, because we're not talking about 20 years ago. As you grow up to who you are at this time in your life, you may meet someone that's perfect for that particular time frame in your life. Because if you keep listening to this or listening to that, like I said, what if I am with my soulmate? What if my soulmate is like 30 years younger than me? That's going to be a challenge. And I mean, when you don't know any better, you say, "Hey, I'm an older guy. I just slept with a 20-year-old. Oh, wow, I still got it." Like you think that you may think some guys may think that's the biggest thing in the world, but a guy like me is like, "Wow, that's almost like sleeping with a baby. What's your problem? Can't you find somebody your age?" And even if that female might want it, she may be ready for it. No problem. Don't worry, I'm legal. But you're still saying, but you're just a baby, and I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. But you're just a baby to me. I just got finished telling my brother-in-law off. I forget how much younger he is than me. But I told him he's a baby. And I know he didn't like me saying, I said, you're a baby to me. You haven't been where I've been. You haven't done what I've done. You have to learn. Don't walk around like you're such a big man. You're not a big man. You're a little man to me. And in the context that I was saying, I was 100% right. So with Uranus retrograde, it's going to be extreme variations. But you have to remember, your 12th house is supposed to be about you sacrificing to help other people become stronger or wiser. But not to sacrifice yourself. Because the 12th house can also be the house of martyrdom, where you're so busy helping everybody else that you burn yourself out. So that's not what that means. But what I am saying, in your 12th house, you don't want to be going from one extreme to another. Because, like I said, nobody can perceive you, especially if that's the house where you're supposed to be helping people. So, with Uranus retrograde, this person may live their life from one extreme to the other, and they have no middle ground. And again, that's not good, especially with Libra, because Libra is supposed to be balanced. So you don't want to be living from one extreme to another. And that's why I strongly suggest you learn to use your Mercury energy and your Gemini energy to communicate. Whether you do it verbally, by the telephone, by writing somebody an email or a letter. But the people or person you're dealing with, they have to have some type of idea of what's going on inside of you. This is why I keep saying the same old, same old. Like if you're at your job and it's supposed to be your soulmate or your twin, if all they're doing is sitting around waiting for you to make a move and make a move, then that's unconditional. And you like, if you've been around as long as I've been, the most natural question is, why don't you ever make a move? You want me to believe in you, but you never make a move, and I don't want to do that again. Where I'm doing everything and then it fails and fails, and I don't play mind games. That's what I said. I have family members that they think you're gonna. These people are almost as old as me, and they still want to play mind games like they're still little children. I don't have no time for that. So with Uranus retrograde, you can't just see life as black or white. You do have to learn compromise. So they're saying in one of your past lives, you were probably a rebel or a revolutionary. You were always fighting the establishment or looking for battles. So they say in this lifetime, you have to learn how to let it go. Even since this is your 12th house and your 12th house is spiritual, learn how to let go and let God. And you have to learn compromise. And again, you really can't stop people from doing what they want to do. But that doesn't mean you let people bully you or drain you to the point you can't even do what you should be doing in this life. All right, so that looks like that's the 12 houses. Remember, we do have sales going on. You can contact me. Everything is in the description box below with information. And if anybody needs a service list, services offered, and price list, you can also contact me as well. God bless.